Any member of the public can apply for a place to be declared heritage site. It's either a family member or any member of the public. Now, what happens is that the PRAS, which is the Provincial Heritage Resource Agency, will receive the application. There are forms that should be filled in, and there's a grading system that is also being followed. It will be graded accordingly, either it being a provincial or national site. If it's a national site, it will then be forwarded to the South African Heritage Resource Agency. Of course, within 50 days, the public hearings are usually conducted to ascertain the views of the public. So, and also there are set criteria. I mean, for instance, when it comes to people, the whole issue of unity, and as well as is this encouraging, cohesion of the country, because also you don't want to take the country, backwards as well. And so it's not just a declaration as automatically, but the process is not top down; it is bottom up. Some people think that you can just sit down and declare a particular place as a heritage site. It's actually, authorities don't actually just sit and declare. There's a process, set criteria, that is followed, interrogated, and so forth.
Is unity the only criteria? Because some experts, we had a historian yesterday here in the studio, Professor Pitikantuli, saying that by denying this kind of thing, maybe we are denying our own past. I mean, Eugene Blanche, like him or not like him, and for whatever role he played in society as an ultra-right wing, he was part of the recent history of this country.
I think a line of difference should be drawn between history and heritage, because his history is everything that has happened, and there's a way to preserve history. But when it comes to heritage, you then talk about more memorializing, and then celebrating that particular part of history. So you to celebrate is this is something, and also, or to sanitize is something else. For instance, the Heritage Council is involved in a policy process of reviewing monuments and memorials in the country. As you know, that in the first 5 years of democracy, there's been a policy vacuum in this regard in the context of government of national unity. But the question has come now. I mean, this is the policy that are going to subject next year to the public in South Africa, to say that what are you going to do about this, monument and the statue? Various countries, like for instance Hungary, they keep them to the gardens, to libraries, and they have available, because you can't erase that particular part of the history. But once now you hang them up, it is also something also. This is very emotional. So you've got to balance up all these competing interests. It's not about, obliterating the history, because history has got to be preserved, but also celebrating it or marking up, lifting it up there is also something. So you've got to look at all of this. For instance, when it comes to Eugene, what about those who came before him as well? I mean, the apartheid leaders as Verwoerd, there's others. Are we going to... So those are the policy questions that was taken.
But through heritage sites, aren't we helping to understand the past better, so we don't repeat the mistakes of the past as we go forward as a country?
I think it's about how do maintain, how do we preserve. Heritage site is not the only way you can preserve that legacy. As I'm saying, I mean, for instance, look at how Germans have done. Without lifting Hitler there, but they've also said this is part of our own, psyche. It must be, there's, for instance, Rwanda, there's a museum of Holocaust. You name all of this. In Cuba, for instance, they've been able to say that here Batista was, but without really, elevating it up there, but also ensuring that it is also part of that memory, because you don't just preserve something that you like, you must preserve it, but in preserving it, you must also be sensitive, so that there's no division of the people.
So unity is very important, and of course the diversity of our past is also key, as you say. Very briefly, this policy process, the new policy process on heritage, when does it start, and when will the public get an opportunity to participate through submissions?
The team of experts in the Heritage Council have done a very, very, tremendous work on this. Already benchmarking has been done, research has been done, and now next year, before May, We're going to take it now to the public, of course, with approval of the Minister of Arts and Culture, Mr. Natim Terre. And there's going to be this dialogue in the country. What do you do about the monuments? What do you do about the heritage? How do you erect monuments? How do you remove monuments? It's also going to be very, educative, as well. We're going to look at benchmarking and then say that here's the policy. That has been really product, debated, but also harness unity in the country, because you don't want to go back. You also want to ensure that, how to ensure that this public memory is, also adheres to the principles of our constitution.